we are in the middle of the Hagdama of the Rambam to Sefer Mishnah Torah. Now, in this Hagdama, the Rambam lists all the mitzvahs Saseh, the Ramach mitzvahs Saseh, and the Shasa Le Saseh. And according to the Seder HaLimud of Perek Echad Layem that the Rebbe instituted, so the mitzvahs Saseh are divided into 3 parts, and the mitzvahs Le Saseh are also divided into 3 parts in 3 separate days. And we are up to the 3rd part of the mitzvahs Le Saseh, mitzvah Reish Mem Hei. Reish Mem Hei, Shalei Ligzel, Shenamar V'lei Sigzel. Reish Mem Vov, Shalei Lahasig Gvules, Shenamar Lisasig Gvul Riyacha. So if there's a boundary between your field and someone else's field, so you wouldn't be allowed to extend, this would be the law of Lahasig Gvules, which is extending the boundary into the field of your friend, of your neighbor, and therefore obviously expanding your territory and taking away from his. Now this din is really also a Aveir of Gzela. But on the other hand, in Eretz Yisrael, there's an extra lav, and that's what the Rambam says, that this lav is an extra lav. Besides the Isser of Lisigzel, there's also an extra lav in Eretz Yisrael of Lisasig Gvul Riyacha. Reish Mem Zayin, Shalei Lashik, Shenema Lisashik Es Riyacha. Now, Lisigzel means going ahead and taking money Be'isser, taking money from someone, Shalei Al Pidin. Lisashik means you receive the money Beheter, and you're not returning the money. You're keeping the money for yourself. That would be Lisashik. Reish Mem Ches, Shalei Lechachish B'mam Chaverei, Shnema V'leisachachashu. If you owe someone money and that person muns by you the money, and you deny owing him the money, so you owe him V'leisachachashu. And Reish Mem Tes, Shalei Lishava Al Kviras Mam Chaverei, to make a shvuah when you deny owing the person money. Not only you denied owing the person money, but you also made a shvuah. Shenama v'leisishakru. Kalemar, so leisishakru means leisishava al sheker b'mam sheyesh lechaveri biyadcha. So if someone gives you money, so if you don't return the money, if you owe someone money, you don't return that money, or you don't give that person money that you owe him for whatever reason, so then you're over on leisashik esriyacha. If that person muns by you the money, and you deny owing him the money, so then you're over on leisachachashu. And if you swear that you don't owe him the money, then you're over on the lav of leisachakru. Reish nun shalayoyne b'mekach umemker shnemul altoinu ishes achiv. And the yoyne b'mekach umemker would be either if someone sells an item to someone for a price which is higher than what the item is really worth, and the buyer didn't know that, so therefore that's called a noas b'negeh mammon. Now there's a fakert. If you buy something from someone for a cheaper price and the seller wasn't aware of the value of the item that he was selling, so it comes out that the lekech was being ma'aner the moicher. So it could be either the moicher being ma'aner the lekech, or the lekech being ma'aner the moicher. Reish nun aleph, shalayoyne b'dvarim, shenema v'leiseinu ishes amisei, v'yeresem elikech zu anoas dvarim, which means hurting someone with words. When a person tells a person, he says a comment which is hurting that person with his words. So for a ger, there's a special din that there's a isser of einos dvarim to a ger, and Rejun Gimel so there's a lav of einos dvarim to a regular yid, and there is a einos moment to a regular yid, and then there's another lav, an extra lav, b'negei a ger. By a ger, there's also the lavim of a yid, but by a ger, there's an extra lav of a ger that you're not allowed to have einos dvarim, and al derazeh you're not allowed to have einos moment. Reish nun dalet sheli lahachzir evet shebarach le'eretz Yisrael la'adenav shebuchutz la'aretz shenama lisazgir evet la'adenav. So we're talking about an evet knaini shel Yisrael that was in chutz la'aretz, and that evet knaini ran to Eretz Yisrael. So a person that found this evet knaini in Eretz Yisrael is not allowed to return and bring him back to his Adon, which is in Chutz La'aretz. Because this pale, since this Eved now finds himself in Eretz Yisrael, you're not allowed to take him out of Eretz Yisrael and give him back to the Adon, which is in Chutz La'aretz. Reish nun hei, shalei lehoinois Eved zeh, shenema imcha yeshe bekirbecha, batevle leiteinanu. So there's a special din that there shouldn't be a noah towards this ger. So first of all, there's a isser to return this ger back to his Adon, and now while this Eved is here, there shouldn't be any anor towards him. Reish nun vav, shlilaanis yosim valmona, shenema kalmona v'yosim leisa anun, to pain a yosim valmona is a special love. Reish nun zayin, shlilavid be'eved ivri avedas eved, shenema lisavid be avedas oved. And there's a type of aveda which would be shayches for an eved knaini. Reish nun ches, shleilim keresim imkeres avodim. Shenamar shleimochru imkeres ovid. You shouldn't sell them like you sell an avid, which you sell an avid, you put him on a special stone and people inspect him, b'farhesia, so you shouldn't sell it in a manner of the way they sell normally avodim knainim. Reish nun tes, shleilavid be'avid ivri beferech. Shnema l'sirde be'befarech, not to do avedas perech, and avedas perech would be aveda which has no gvul. In other words, you just tell them to do work and you don't tell them when to stop, because you have to tell them a certain amount of work. You don't just tell them keep doing work until I come back. Or also to do work which wasn't necessary. Reish samach sheleilahaniach hagoy lavid be'avid ivri hanimkar le'beferech. Shnema le'yidenu beferech le'inecha. So if you see a goy, in other words, you have a yid that was sold to a goy, and you see that this goy is working with this Eved Ivri, Avedis Perech, so you have to see to it to prevent it. In other words, if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. But if it's Beferech Leinecha, if you see the goy working with this Eved Ivri, Avedis Perech, so you have to see to it to prevent it. You're not allowed to hold yourself back and let the goy do it. Reisha Machalef, Shalelim Ker Ome Evriya La'acher, Shenama Leyimshel Lemachra Bevigdeba. So if a person bought an Amevriya, bought the Amevriya from the father, so he's not allowed to go ahead and sell this Amevriya. Reisha Machbeis, Shalelimnea Ma'amevriya Hayuuda, She'er Ksus Ve'ena, Shenama She'era Ksus Ve'ena Yigra, and V'hu Adin L'Shara Noshim. So if a person was Miyayid, this Amevriya, so she really becomes his wife, so at that point in time, he becomes Mechuyev in She'er Ksus Ve'ena, and there's a lav that he shouldn't hold back. And that love is not only for a Amevriya, which a person was miyayid, it refers to any wife. Reisha Magimel, Shalelimker Eishes Yifaster, Shnemer Umocher Leisim Kerene Bakosef. So if a person took a Yifaster, and he took a Yifaster, so he's not allowed to go ahead and sell her. Reish Samach Dalid, Shalelich Beish Eishes Yifaster Shivcha, Shnemer Leisis Amerba. So if a person took a Yifaster, he was bailish Yifaster, and he didn't go ahead and marry her. So now he wants to use her as a shivcha. He's not allowed to. So in other words, there's the seder of marrying the Yifaster, and if he doesn't end up marrying the Yifaster, so then he's supposed to let her go free, but he's not allowed to sell her, nor is he allowed to take her as a shivcha. So that's the two lavim. Whereas once he took this Yifaster, he was bailed Yifaster, so memela, so now at this point in time, either he marries her, if they both agree to marry, or he lets her go free. Masha'inkin, for him to go sell her or to go ahead and use her as a shifcha, both of them are two separate lavim. Reisha Machei Shalei Lachmed Shnema Lisachmed Eishes Riyacha. Now Lisachmed you only over if you actually go do things in order to obtain the thing that you want. Whereas if the fact that you wanted, that's not the Isra of Lisachmed. Lisachmed is if a person wants someone's house, so then he goes ahead and he does takbulis, and he actually does things in order to actually obtain that person's house. That's when he's over on Shalis Achmed. And Reisha Magvav Shalis Avis, Shenema Velisis Ave Beis Riyacha. And Lisis Avis means you shouldn't desire. But again, the Rambam in Hilchos Gzelu, when he speaks about the Issa of Lisis Ave, he says over there that a person thinks Makshavis how to obtain it. And the Leis Achmed is when he actually does things in order to obtain it. And Leilis Avis means he thinks Makshavas. Not only that he has a desire for it. He has a desire for it. That's a natural desire. But when a person goes ahead and starts thinking, how could he go ahead and fulfill this desire, that's when he's over on Shalei Lehis Avis. Reish Samach Shalei Yoichel HaSocher, Shalei B'Shaz Gmar Malachim, Min HaMechuber Shu Eisabei. Shenema V'cher Mishlei Sonev. So a socher has a right to eat from the produce that he's doing, but that's only until the Gmar Malacha. Mashenka, once there was the Gmar Malacha, so then he doesn't have a right to eat from it, and if he does eat from it, he's over on this din of V'cher Mishlei Sonef. V'cher Mishlei Sonef. Now the question is again, over here there's a shaila again, is the pshat is that he's also over on Lisigzel and Sudersu, he's also over on V'cher Mishlei Sonef, or he's only over on Lisigzel. The Pasha Mashmois and the Rambam, in Hilchos Malachim, where the Rambam speaks about a goy that is chayiv on a shavapruta, if he's even a potzim shavapruta, and he's chayiv misa, so the Rambam says he's also over if lepel he takes like a socher shalei b'shaz gmar malacha. In other words, when a socher is not supposed to be taking, and lepel he takes it, so the goy is over on the isra of gzela and is chayiv misa. And the Rambam over there writes, Masha'en can be Yisrael. So Mashmois Advarim is that by Yisrael he's taken that over on Lisigzel. That's L'chura, the Pashtus HaMashmois. Reis HaMaches, Shaliyikach HaSocher Yesra Lachilose. Shenema V'achalt Anoshim Kenavshachos Yivecha, Avivel Kel Yechol Yisit. And he's only allowed to eat while he's doing the work, but he's not allowed to go ahead and put it into his kelim, the food, and take it home for later. Reis HaMachtes, Shaliyis'alim Min Ho'aveda. Shenema Lisucha Lisalim. If a person sees an Aveda, he's not allowed to be misalim from that Aveda. In other words, pretend that he doesn't see it, or like not get involved. Reish Ayin, Shaleilaniach Behemer Ivetzes Tachas Maso Baderech, Shenemer Kisira Chamer Sinacha. So there's an issur to let the behema, when you see the behema which is rivetz is falling under maso, you have to go and help it and unload the behema. Reish Ayin Aleph Shalilasi. So the Rambam says it be'emes. Reish Ayin and Reish HaMachtes, the Rambam says Reish HaMachtes is the din of Aveda, Shal Yisal min Aveda, and Reish Ayin, the Rambam says this din of Shal Niach Behemer Rivetzes in Hilchis Behamshel to the Isser of Aveda. The Rambam in the Sefer, he doesn't, there's halachas hilchas gzeil of Aveda, and over there the Rambam speaks about the halachas of Aveda, and then in Hilchas Ritzeach or Shmiras Nefesh, over there is where the Rambam writes the din that you have to help a behema, which is rivetzes tachas maso. So the Rambam puts it in Hilchas Ritzeach or Shmiras Nefesh, as opposed to where the L'chura seems from the Rambam over here, that the Rambam is saying it behemshech to Shal Yisal min Aveda, which is also the Pashas HaMashmois in Gemara. In the Gemara is also this whole din of Revetz Tachas Masoy is an Elam Metzias, which is behemshech to the dinim of Metzia. Reish Ayin Aleph Shalilasis Ovel Bamida. Shenamar Leisasu Ovel Bamishpat Bamida. So it says the Lashon Bamishpat Bamida, Piashmo Lomdu, Shakosav Mazir Leisasu Ovel Bamishpat Hamida. So when a person is measuring something, a person is selling something, and you're measuring something, so you shouldn't make an oval, you shouldn't do an avla, no, do something wrong, and in inaccuracy, intentional inaccuracy in measuring something for someone else when you're selling something. That's called b'mishpat hamida. So that's a special lav. Reja in beis shalilias etzleinu eifa ve'eifa even v'even. So a person shouldn't have two types of measuring cups or two types of measuring stones of weights, which, when you sell it, you're going to sell it in a smaller measuring cup. And when you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it in a larger measuring cup. And al derazeh, when you sell something, you'll use the smaller weight, and when you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it on a larger weight. So that's you're not allowed to have. Reja in beis shalilias etzleinu eifa ve'eifa even v'even. You shouldn't have in your possession two types of measuring cups, one bigger and one smaller, or two types of stone, two sizes of stones. Shenema liyil lecha bebeischa eifa ve'eifa. Reja in gimel shalil aval mishpat. Shenema lisasu aval b'mishpat. You shouldn't do mishpat in an improper way, incorrect way. You should be accurate when you do a mishpat. You should do a mishpat tzedek. Reja in dalet shalilikach sheichad. Shenamar v'sheichad leisikoch. Reja in hey shalilechabed godel badin. Shenamar v'leiseder pnei godel. So if you have someone that's a godel and a cotton, and you want to help him, in other words, you say that you want to be machabed him, and therefore the din will go towards him. So that's shalilechabed godel badin. So in other words, you'll be matzdik the godel in order not to embarrass him. In other words, it's a big person, a chosheва person, and having a dentator with a not chosheva person. So you want to be mechabed this chosheva person. Reja involv shalayira hadayin bedin mi odem ra. Shenamali segurim mipnei ish, not to be afraid of a person. Reja in zayin shalei lerachim al oni bedin. So there's a din of leilachabed godel bedin. In other words, you want to be mechabed the godel, and therefore you're going to tilt the din towards his direction. And then this fakert, you want to have rachmanis on the ani. So either way, you have to have the din has to be a din mishpat. So there's a lav of leila avel mishpat, not to be ma'avel a mishpat, and then there's another lav of shalila hadar godel badin, and now there's another din shalila rachim al ani badin. Reja in zayin shalila rachim al ani badin. Shnama v'zdol le seder berive. Reja in ches leila hash plahates mishpat odem chete. Shenema lisate mishpat avyencha lomdu piashmo shezevim b'mitzvah. So you have a person that's a Rasha, and he's coming with you bedin, so you want to be noite, even though you're not thinking about what's the truth of who's right or wrong, but rather since he's a Rasha, so therefore you want to be noite the din against him, so you're not allowed to do that. Shalilahates mishpat Adam choyte, shenema lisate mishpet evyen cholom pi ashmo, sheze evyen b'mitzvus. Reish ayin tes, shalei lerachim ala mazik bedine knosses, shenema v'lisoches einecha. So Memela, when a person is chayiv a knas, you're not allowed to have rachmanis and say, well, he's, it's rachmanis on him. So you know, there's the isser of lisoches einecha when it comes to dine knosses. Reish pei, shalei lahatis mishpat gerim v'yiseimim. Shenema lisate mishpat ger yosim, which again, these people don't have that much power. There's a ger or a yosim. They don't have that much power, so therefore it's easier to be mashbet the din against them. So there's a special lav, shalei lahatis, bechlal there's a lav of lahatis mishpat. Masha'inkin over here, by a ger and the yosim, there's an extra lav, shalei lahatis mishpat ger v'yiseimim, shenema lisate mishpat ger yosim. Reish pi aleph, shalei lishmeya mi'echad mi'balidinim ve'en chaveri imei. Shenema l'sisa shem ashov, so you're not allowed to hear from one of the balidinim before the other baldin comes. Reish pei beis, shalei lintes achri rabin, bedin in the foshes, im hoya mechayvim yesel ha-mezakn echot. Shenema l'siya achri rabin l'roi, so Chazal learned that it means that if there's only a majority by one, which is tilting towards killing someone, till giving one a chiyuv misa, so you're not allowed to go ahead and give someone a chiyuv misa based on a rave of only one. Reish Pei Gimel, shel yilamet cheva mi shelimet zchus tchila b'din nefoshes. Shenema v'lisata al riv lintes. So when there's a shaila of din nefoshes, and one of the Sanhedrin started being noita l'schus, so he's now allowed to go ahead during the shakla v'tarya and start being melamed chayva. Now, b'seif as shakla v'tarya, when they're oimid l'din and they have to say what each one holds. So even though originally he held l'schus, he could hold later l'chayva. But during the shakla v'tarya, he's now allowed to go ahead and change his direction, and even though originally he was l'schus, and now he's going to start taining l'chayva. He should be quiet as far as the shakla v'tarya is concerned. Again, as far as the maskonas advarim, when he says his opinion in the din, and they're tallying the numbers, who's l'chayva and l'schus, so he could join the l'chayva. But during the shakla v'tarya, he's now going to go ahead and start taining l'chayva. Reish Pei Dalet, that we learn at Nachamal. Reish Pei Gimel, shel yilam b'tchayva mishalim etzchus tchila b'din nefoshes, din nefoshes, shnema v'lisana al riv lintes. Reish Pei Dalet, shel yilamanis b'dayonim odom she'eni chocham b'dini ateir, aval b'yishul chocham b'chochmas acheres, shnema l'sakir upon him b'mishpat, and that goes on not to be memana someone that's not a chocham b'chochmas ateir. Reish Pei Hei, shelei lehoyed b'sheker, shnema l'sana b'reach ha'eit sheker. Reish Pei Vov, shelei yoyed balaveda, shnema al toshes yotchim rosho, liyes eit chomas. So the Lashon Rambam, shelei yoyed balaveda, sounds like the balaveda himself. A person knows he's a balaveda, he's not going to go ahead and be an aid. And say for a mitzvah, the Lashon Rambam sounds like it's a Yisra on the dying that knows that this person is a balaveda, and he's acting as an aid. So there's a lav of shaliyoid balaveda. So there's din nachreinim, but again, what's actually the lav? Is the lav on the aid himself, that he knows he's a balaveda, or is the lav on the bezin? Reish Pei Zayin, shaliyoid koref, shenema liyumso avis albonim, piashmu lomdu, shaliyumso avis be'edis bonim, v'hu adin l'sh'ar krevim, which l'chura over here is also yesem mistabra l'chura, that shaliyoid koref is a din on the dayonim. He says the dayonim that knows that this person is a koref, they're not allowed to take him as a aid. Reish Pei Ches, shalilichreis hadin al pi eidechot. Shenema liyokim eidechot beish, the bezin is not allowed to paskin based on the Reish Pei Tes, shalilarig noki, shenema lisirzoch. Now the halach is before Reish Pei Ches is talking about a din on bezin. Maybe Reish Pei Zayin also is a din on the bezin. Reish Sadik is also a din on bezin. We're talking about the Yisurim bezin. But Pasha's Reish Pei Tes is a din on the yochid. That's the Isser of Leis Yisroch. You're not allowed to kill. It's not really a din on bezin. Reish Pei Tes shalilarig noki shenema Leis Yisroch. Reish Sadik shalilachtech hadin beimed adas. Achiyiru shnei edem gufi shel dover shnema v'noki v'tzadik al tarik. So you can't go ahead and do a din based on assumption. Even on an eid mepi eid you can't rely on. It has to be dafka that the Eidim know that they saw the Maisa Chiyiru Shnei Eidim Gufi Shel Dover, and then Bezdin hears from the Eidim, and then the Kapaskin Al Pi what the Eidim said that they actually saw. Reish Tzadik Aleph Sheliyoyra Ha'eid Bedin Sheheid Be Bedin in the Nefoshes. Shnemer Ve'eid Echad Liyana Benefesh, a special din that when we're dealing with din in the Nefoshes, the Eid is not allowed to say an opinion about the din of the din nefashis. And normally an aid could say an opinion. Mashenka, when we're din in nefashis, the aid can be a dayan, but an aid could say an opinion. Mashenka, when we're dealing with din nefashis, the aid can say an opinion, not l'schus and not l'chev. Nachamal. Reish Sadik Aleph, shelo yoyre ha'eid bedin sheheyed bei bedin in nefashis, shenama ve'eid de'echad l'yane b'nefashis. Reish Sadik Beis, shelo larig mechuyev hariga, kedem sheyamid bedin. Shenema v'liyamas haritzech ad omde lifnei oidas. Even though you saw a person killed someone and were Adam there that saw him kill, but before you go ahead and kill this person that killed, you have to have an Amida Bedin. He has to come to Bezdin, and there has to be a Sanhedrin of Chav Gimel, a Bezdin of Chav Gimel, and only then the Adam should say Edus, and they should pass him that he's Mechuyev Misa before you actually kill him. Reish Sadi Gimel, Shalei Lochus al Haredif. So when you have someone that's being a Redif, now the din of a Redif is someone that's trying to kill someone, or someone that's trying to be ma'anis someone and be ba'ala erva. So shalei lochas al Redif ela hoir genoisei kedem sheyagia l'nirdav yargena before this Redif reaches the Nirdav and kills the Nirdav. Yigala ervasio. We're talking about a Redif achra erva be megala erva shenama v'katzeis es kappa lisochus einecha. Reish Sadik Daled shalei lanish ha'onus. So if a person did an Aveira, did something be'oinus, so even if he did something which is punishable by death, or whatever punishment it could be, is le'la nishonus. That's we learn out from Lanaira Lisasu Dover. Reish Sadikei, Shalelikach Koifer Min HaRitzeach. Shenema v'lisikho Kefer L'nefesh Ritzeach, the Ritzeach wants to save himself from being killed, and he wants to give Kefer, so there's a lav, Lisikho Kefer Min HaRitzeach. Reish Sadik Vov, Shalelikach Koifer Begolus Ritzeach Bishgoga. Shenema Lisikho Kefer Lonus Al Ir Miklote, someone that's supposed to be running away Al Ir Miklote, and now he's giving Koifer in order to save himself from having to run away, so there's a lav of taking Koifer from him to save him from having to run away. Reish Sadik Zayin, Shleilamid al Hadom, Shenemel Isamid al Dam Riyacha. If you see a person that's in a situation of a Sakonis Nefashis, you're not allowed to stand there and be Lamid al Adam, you have to go ahead and try to save this person. Reish Sadik Ches, Shalei Lahaniach Michshel, Shenemel Isosim Dom Visecha. You're not allowed to leave something which could cause someone to be able to get hurt and to die. That's the chiyuv of Micah or any other situation where you have a something which could cause someone a hezek gadol and also misa. Reish Sadik Tes Shelahachshel Tam Baderech. So before we said le'laniach michshel, you're now allowed to leave something which is a michshel, which could cause someone to be hurt. That's le'laniach michshel, and now there's a issur le'lahachshel tam baderech. It's not something in your property, but you go ahead and put something, a stumbling block, and that person is walking, and that person is going to trip, or whatever else would be the situation. Le'lahachshel tam baderech. Shneimar l'fnei v'lisiten michshel. Shin shleilehesed b'malchus amechuyev malchus shenema liyosef pen Yosef. So when a person is receiving malchus, so you're now allowed to administer more malchus than he's mechuyev. You're now allowed to be moisev on the amount of malchus, which is a general lav of hitting someone. The lav is said when you get someone that's receiving malchus that you're now allowed to add an extra malchus. But from there we learn out the kal v'chemer. If your person's not mechuyev malchus, you're now allowed to go ahead and hit a person. Shin Aleph. Shalei l'ragel, shenemel l'seilach rachel ba'mecha, which is talking about the issur of lashon hara and rechilus. Shin Beis, shalei lisnei balev, shenemel l'sisne sochicha bil vavecha. Shin Gimel, shalei l'halben pnei odem Yisrael, shenemel hicheach techeach hamisecha v'lei sis olav chet. So v'lei sis olav chet means you shouldn't embarrass him. Ein achanami, there's a mitzvah. That's a essa of hicheach techeach hamisecha. But then there's a lav of a lisis olav chet. You're not allowed to cause anyone any embarrassment. Shin Daled, Shalei Linkem, Shinema Le Sikem, to take revenge. Shin Hey, Shalei Linter, Shinema Le Siter. Linter means you keep it in your heart. In other words, someone did something bad to you, and now you keep it in your heart. So even though you're not taking revenge, you ask someone you wanted to borrow something, that person didn't lend it to you, and now that person comes to borrow something else, so you go to tell the person, I'll lend it to you, I'm not going to take revenge, but you remember that when I went ahead and wanted to borrow from you, you didn't tell it to me. So he's keeping that in his heart, and he's telling it to that person. That's the issur of Shalei Linter. Shin Hey Shalei Linter, Shinema V'lei Siter. Shin Vov, Shalei Likach Eim Al Abonim, Shinema V'lei Sikoch Eim Al Abonim, if they have a kanziper, and there's the mother, so you're not allowed to go ahead and take the mother while the mother is alabon. Shin zayin shalei legaleach sar hanesek shneme ves hanesek leigaleh. Now nesek that's a nega of the roish or the zokon, and that nega expresses itself by the hair falling out. In other words, we're not talking about the nega tzaras, which is be'er abasa becomes white. We're talking about the hair falling out of the head, part of the head or part of the beard. And then the question is, and then in order for it to have simoni tuma, it has to have the seir tsoiv in the nesek. In other words, as opposed to seir lovan, which is in the nega of erabosser. So there's seir tsoiv, which is in the nesek. So that's one possibility of legaleach hanesach, means to take off that seir tsoiv, which is a simon tuma of the nesek. There's an issue what exactly the lav is. And then there's another issue where you want to see whether or not this nesek spread. So you're supposed to be megalech around the nesek, but this hanesek leigalech, which means you have to leave the sar near the. You shave off around the nesek, but on the other end you leave two rows of hair immediately around the nesek to be able to see whether this nesek spread, and those 2 rows of hair, which will determine whether or not the nesek spread, you're not allowed to cut off. So that's this hanesek leigalech. So that is an issue. What exactly is the lav over here? But I'll quote on the Rambam says Nachamol Shin Zayin Shalei Legalech Sa'ar Hanesek Sheneme Ves Hanesek Leigalech. I'm saying there's 2 ifarim to learn whether we're talking about the seir in the nesek itself or the seir which surrounds the nesek. Shin Ches Shalei Litleish Simoni Tzoras Sheneme Hishamar Benega Tzoras, which means the simonim, which is either the michya or the seir lovan in a tzoras, so you're not allowed to be toilish the simoni tzoras. Shintes shelilavid v'lizreya benachal eson shenemar asheliyavid be v'leizareh. So once there was the egla rufa that you did benachal eson, so it says asheliyazareya, so asheliyavid be v'leizareh. So there's a iser to be oivid to be lizreya in this nachal eson after you mekayim the din of egla rufa. Shin yud sheliyischayev choson bedover mitzorchi rabim kol shnosei. Kegen tzova u'shmiras hachem u'kiyetzebem shenema leyetze batzova v'liyaver olav l'chol dover. So the fact that a person will force the chosin to go ahead and do tzorchi rabim, that would be being over on this lav. Sheli is chayiv chosin bedover mitzorchi rabim kol shnosei. So you have to leave him free. So if you don't leave him free, so you're over on this lav of leyetze batzova v'liyaver olav l'chol dover. Shin Yudalev Shalei Lechayis Mechashev Shneme Mechashefa Leisechaya. And this is the only isser of there's a chiyuv to be made as someone that was a Mechashev, that's a chayiv misa. Now normally there's a chiyuv misa, there's most people have mechuyev skill other mises, and if you don't do it, so you were over on the esser. There's an esser of administering skila and sreifa to those people that are mechuyev, and if you don't do it, you aren't mekayim the esser. Masha'inkim benegem mechashev, there's a special din that there's a lav. There's a lav of leisachaya mechashev. Mechashefa leisachaya. So shin yud aleph shalei lechayis mechashev. Don't let a mechashev live. Sorcerer. Shenamer mechashefa leisachaya. Shin yud beis shalei lahamris al pi bezn. Shenamer leisosu mikol adover ashigidu lecho, which is not listening to the bezn. To bezn agodl. Shin yud gimel shalei lehesev al mitzvus atera. Ben teir shebiksav, ben bipirusha shekiblu al peh. Shnem es kol hadover asher anechem mitzav eschem oises sishmeru lases and lay seisev olav. So there's an isser of to be moisev on teir shebal peh, to be moisev on mitzvahs on sayin teir shebiksav, on mitzvahs of teir shebiksav, and also on the pirushim of teir shebal peh. Shin yudalid shalei legreya mikol mitzvahs hateira. Shenemar v'lei sigra mimena. So there's an isser of being moisev and there's an isser of being gereya. Shin tezvav shalei lekal adayon. Shenamer elikim lei sekalu. So this mitzvah, as the Rambam before said, that the issue of being Makal Birchas Hashem was also from elikim lei sekalu, and the Rambam brought a raya from the fact that he's chayev misa for it, nekev Shem Hashem meis yumas, and here the Rambam is also saying shalei lekal ladayin, and it's the same pasuk elikim lei sekalu. Shin yudvov shalei lekal hanosi v'hu hamelech ereish yeshivas Eretz Yisrael shenamer v'nosi ba'am cholisor. So before we had a din shalei lekal ladayin, and now there's a din of Shalei Lekal HaNasi, and Nasi refers to either the Melech or Reish Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael, which B'Pashtus means the Reish Sanhedrin. He was called the Reish Yeshiva. It's not a regular Lashon. Reish Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael. Shin Yud Zayin, Shalei Lekalel Echad Mish'ar Yisrael. A regular Yid, Shenamar, Leisekalel Cherish. Shin Yud Ches, Shalei Lekalel. So if a person is Mekalel, for example, the Nasi, so Mele he's over on 3 lavim. He's over because he was Mekalel Dayan, and he was Mekalel Nasi, and also beside the Yisra of being Mekalel every Yid. Shin Yud Ches, Shalei Lekalel Of Ve'im. Shenamar Mekalel Of Ve'ime Meis Yumas. So it's a separate lav of Shalei Lekal of V'ime, even though the Azhara is the regular din of Shalei Lekal, but Lepeil, the Rambam puts it as a separate mitzvah. Shin Yutes, Shalei Lahakis Avein. Shenemer, Umake of V'ime, Meis Yumos. Shin Chof, Shalei Lasis, Molocha B'Shabbos. Shenemer, Lisase, Kol Molocha. Shin Chof Aleph, Shalei Lahalech, Chutz L'Tchum Medina, Kehel Chidrochim B'Shabbos. Shenemer, Al Yetzi Ishmim Kemi. So the Rambam paskins that Tchum is Deraisa, but not the Tchumim of Alpayim Mama, but rather the Rambam used the Lashon Chutz L'Tchum Medina Kehel Chidrochim, and the Rambam in Hilchos Shabbos writes that it's Yud Beis Mil. Shin Chov Beis Shalei Lanish B'Shabbos. Shenama L'Savaru Eish B'Chol Mishvisechem. So there's an Isser of Lanish B'Shabbos. Now that Isser is not only, you could learn the Pashtus Pshat over there in this din of L'Savaru Eish B'Chol Mishvisechem, that the Isser, that the din of Sreifa that Bezin has to administer is not Deicha Shabbos. And it's a special din B'Negei Sreifa. The Rambam learns that it's a general din. There's a lav of Lanish B'Shabbos. B'Pashtus, even if you give an Einish of Malkus. If you give an Einish of Malkus, so there's a Isser of Lanish B'Shabbos. Shinchov Gimel, Shalilasis Molocha, Berishin Shel Pesach, Shenemer Kol Molocha Le'i Yosebem. Shinchov Dalish, Shalilasis Molocha, B'Shvi Shel Pesach, Shenemer Be Kol Molocha Le'i Yosebem. Shin Chavei Shalasis Molacha B'Chag HaShavuos, Shenamar Bei Kol Meleches Avodo Leisasu. Shin Chavov Shalasis Molacha Be'echad L'Chedesh HaShvi on Rosh Hashanah, Shenamar Bei Kol Meleches Avodo Leisasu. Shin Chav Zayin Shalasis Molacha Be'em HaKippurim, Shenamar Bei V'Chol Molacha Leisasu. Shin Chav Ches Shalasis Molacha B'Rishon Shel Chag, Shenamar Kol Meleches Avodo Leisasu. Shin Chav Tes Shalilasis Molocha B'Yem Hashmini Shel Chag, Shnemer Bei Kol Meleches Avedo Leisasu. Shin Lamed Shalei Legalis Ervas Eim. Shnema Im Chohi Leisegal Ervasa. Shin Lamed Aleph Shalei Legalis Ervas Eishes Av. Shnema Ervas Eishes Avicha Leisegala. Shin Lamed Gimel Shalei Legalis Ervas Achoise Min Ho'av Min Ho'eim. Shenema Ervas Bas Eishes Avicha Miledis Avicha. So before we learned that there's a din of Ervis Ochis, and that Ervis Ochis is either Achesim min Av or min Ha'em, regardless. Masha'en Kain, over here we're learning an extra din, that if she's Achoischa, not only min Av, but she's also min Ha'em, and she's min Eishes Av, so she's Achoischa min Ha'em, and also she's Eishes min Eishes Av, so then that's an extra lav. So here the Rambam says, Shulamet Gimel, Shel Legalis, Erves Achesi min Av min Ho'em, she's Achesi Simon Av min Ho'em, Shneimar Erves Bas Eishes Avicha, Miledes Avicha, Acheschi Lisegal Ervosa. So the Rambam really, when he says the halacha, doesn't say the hadgosha that she has to be Achescha from Eishes Av, just says Erves Achesi min Av min Ho'em. But Lepel in the pasuk and the Rambam Behemshech, this when the Rambam in Suribia, so over there the Rambam speaks about the din that she's Eishes. She's the daughter of your father, and also she's the daughter of your father's wife, and that you're also her daughter. So in Mele it comes out, so she's Achescha min Ha'av min Ha'em, and the aim is Eishes Avicha. Shin Lamedalet Shelilegalis Ervas Bas Haben. Shenema Ervas Bas Bincha. Shelamadhei Shelilegalis Ervas Bas Habas. Shenema Bas Bincha Lisegal Ervason. Shin Lamedvov Shelilegalis Ervas Habas. Now the pale Bas doesn't say in the Torah. It says Ben Abbas, Bas Haben, and it says Bas Habas. Since the Torah writes already that there's an Isser to be Bo al Bas Abbas, is Shosek Men Abbas. Piashmul Lomdu She'Isser Abbas Migufi Torah Kisharai. So don't say that it's like a Kal V'chemer, it's something which we're learning out. No, it has a din of Gufi Torah, and therefore the Rambam is main al Salah B'fnei Atzmei. There's the Einish for it, which is the Einish of, for Bas, it's a Isser Sreifa, the Chiv Sreifa. Shin Lamed Zayin Shelilegalis Ervas Isho Bito. Shenema erves isha ubitel esegala. So a person is not allowed to bo al bas ishtei. Shin lamed ches shelegalis ervas isha ubas bno. Shenemer is bas bita is bas bno. So you're not allowed to marry a wife's grandchild through her son. And shin lamed ches shelegalis ervas isha ubas bita. Shenemer ve'es bas bita leisika. So a person is not allowed to marry his own daughter, is not allowed to be bal in his own daughter, on his own grandchild, either through his daughter or through his son. And al derazeh, he's not allowed to be bal on his wife's daughter or his wife's granddaughter, either through her son or through her daughter. And all of them, derech hagav, is chiyuv sreifa. Shin mem shelelegalis ervas achois ha'av. Shenema ervas acheis avicha leisegala. Shin mem aleph shelelegalis ervas acheis ha'im. Shenema ervas acheis imcha leisegala. Shin mem beis shelelegalis ervas eshes achi ha'av. Shenemar al ishtei lesikrav de doschehi. So there's an isser to marry your father's brother's wife. That's your aunt. So your father's brother's wife goes into the gather of de doschehi, and therefore it's an erva. Now this din, your father's brother's wife, is only the father's brother through a father. In other words, if the father has a brother which they share the same father, so then there's the isser of de doscha. Masha'enkin, if it's a brother through a mother, whereas the father's brother, which they share the same mother, so then his wife wouldn't be an erva. Shin mem gimel shelilgalis ervas eshes haben. Shinam ervas kalos chalisegala, which is a daughter-in-law. Shin mem dalit shelilgalis ervas eshes ach. Shinam ervas eshes achicha lisegala. Shin mem hey shelilgalis ervas aches isha. A person's wife is legalis ervas aches isha. Shinam isha elachesa lesikach, and that's only when his wife is alive. If his wife is no longer alive, so then he's allowed to marry her sister. Shin mem vav shelilegalis, in other words, even if he's divorced from his wife, but if his wife is alive, so memela he's usher to marry her sister. If his wife dies, so then he's mutter to marry her sister. Shin mem vav shelilegalis ervas nida. Shnema vel isha benidas tumasa leisikrav. Shin mem zayin shelilegalis ervas eshes ish. Shenamar vel ish eshes amischa leisitin shach chavtacha lezora. Shin mem ches shelelishkav im behema. Shenamar v'bechol behema leisitin shchavtacha letomava. Shin mem tes shelisovi isha behema oleha. Shenamar v'isha lisamid lefnei behema leriva. Shin nun shelelishkav im zochor. Shenamar ve'zochor leisishkav. Shinun Aleph, Shelelegalis Ervis Ha'av, Atzmei, Shinama Ervis Avicha Lesegalis. So Nesef, on the regular din of Ezocher Leshishkav, so by Aviv, there's an extra lav that is Ervis Avicha Lesegalis. If a person Megal Ervis Aviv, he's Chayiv Shnayim, once mitzad the din of Zocher, and once mitzad the din of Ervis Avicha Lesegalis. Shinun Beis, Shelelegalis Ervis Achi Ha'av Atzmei, Shinamar, Ervas achi avicha lesigala. So by achi aviv is also the same din. That if a person was bo'al achi aviv, so besides the fact that he's over as a zocher lisishkav, he's also over an extra lav because it's achi aviv. Shinun gimel shelei likrev la'arayis b'dvarim hamiviyim l'dei gili erva. Ken chibuk v'nishuk or remiza or kfitza shenamar el kol shel psarei. They sikrevu legalis erva mipu ashmo lamdu shezu azhara lekreva amivia ledei gili erva. So anything that brings ledei gili erva, which gives the example of chibuk v'nishuk, and even when you get remiza or kvitza, so these are things which are nichlal in this lav of lesikrevu legalis erva. Shinun dalit shelayisa mamzer bas Yisrael shenema liyadver mamzer b'kal Hashem. So as the Yisrael, he's not allowed to marry. A mamzer is not allowed to marry a bas Yisrael. Now, if he marries a bas Yisrael, so lepel for the marriage itself, you're not chayiv malchus. The chayiv malchus is only if there was sai he married her and sai he was bola. Shinun hey shalisiya kedesha. What's a kedesha? Via nevelis b'iksubo kedushin. Shenama lisiya kedesha. So a woman that's nivelis b'leich suin kedusha is oivan lisiya kedesha. Now, here the Pasha's Lashon Ram sounds like if she was nivala even once. The least ksubo kedushin, she's oivan alisiya kedesha. Later on in the Rambam, it's mavur